Hey, Laura, thanks for getting this in. And so, you gave us your 5 finals. And then it's hard for me to tell by the way you laid out your contact sheets if you're actually bracketing. Because what I expected you to do for this assignment was to, use your viewfinder, frame up a composition, and then shoot it 5 different times at different f-stops so that you have somewhere in there, like your meter indicated exposure, your MIE, and then a half stop above, another half stop above, and then a half stop below your meter indicated exposure, and another half stop below. So you should have had 5 exposures of each composition at different exposure values. And it's hard for me to tell if that's what's going on. Because then I have to kind of search through, because they're not, I would expect you to have all of your, each composition next to all of its buddies, you know? And I'm not seeing that here. I'm sorry. I'm just not seeing that. It might be here, but it's all kind of mismatched together or something, and so it's hard for me to tell. Because like this sheet's all shot at f7.1. This sheet's all shot at f10 mostly, except for one exposure. This is mostly 5.6, and this is mostly 6.3. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just really having a hard time telling what you did. I mean, I get that you shot 40 images and you shot at 5 different. 1, 2, 3, 4, well, 4 different f-stops. Four different f-stops. It's just not exactly what I'm looking for here. So bracketing, so you know, is shooting the same composition, the exact same composition, with different settings. So sometimes we bracket for white balance, sometimes we bracket for shutter speed, sometimes we bracket for aperture, sometimes we bracket for ISO, whatever, you know, sometimes we bracket for a combination of all of them, but it's shooting the same composition with different sets of settings so that you have multiple varieties of that same composition to choose from for your best image. And I put a movie up earlier in the week in the announcements about bracketing. So, you know, if you're not sure, watch that movie. And then you did discuss in your write-up a little bit about how you chose your white balance, and that you said that the color temperature of the sunlight that you're shooting with actually changed. So that's good. That's really good that you were sensitive to that and that you responded by changing the white balance of your camera. Perfect. That being said, your first 2 images are significantly underexposed. Then the rest of them look fine. And that's just a feel, you know, there's not much I can prove to you except for I have no information here at all in these dark areas, and I would expect to have a bit. And then this one, it's just underexposed to the point where it feels dingy. You know, and maybe this was one of the, where the light was transitioning and you hadn't adjusted your white balance yet, I'm not sure. But the rest of them feel quite good. You know, in regard to your exposure and even the white balance, they feel fine. And then also with your depth of field, you know, you're shooting here at f6, but you're really close, so even at f6.3, the depth of field is going to be fairly narrow. And if you don't know this, here's just a little FYI. This is the way depth of field works. Depth of field starts in arbitrary units 1/3 before the area of fine focus in the image that you're shooting and ends 2/3 after. Now, those units change depending on what aperture you're using and how far away you are from your subject matter. But the important part is that it actually begins 1/3 before your area of fine focus. So that means that you don't focus right on the tip of the thing that you want completely in focus. You focus a little bit into it, you know? And like from this image, it doesn't look to me like you have a good understanding of that. Maybe you do, though. I don't know. Maybe that was intentional. And then, you know, in this image, you're clearly focusing right on the tip. And you could have focused just a little bit further in and had more of this flower within your depth of field. And, you know, which is, maybe you never came across that bit of information before. So that's just like an FYI. Put that in your arsenal of knowledge. Okay. So So I don't know. It looks like this was, you're out of town. I get it. So it's a little bit awkward to do this assignment. So it was maybe a little bit difficult for you to pull it off. I'm not sure. But it's hard for me to understand if you really understood bracketing, the way that you put together your contact sheets. I just can't tell. I'm sorry. But, get back in here and let me know, or email me, or whatever you want to do. Just let me know, okay? Okay, thanks, Laura.